What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty behind the camera, and sitting in front of us is the 2024 Cadillac Lyriq, and we have a very nicely optioned out Sport 1 for us to take a look at in the beautiful black on black color combination that this has. It also has some pretty cool Santorini blue stitching on the inside, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But a little overview of the video. We're going to take a look at the exterior. We'll then pop the hood and check out what's under there, kind of go through our drivetrain configurations. Then we'll check out the trunk, see how much storage room we have back there. And finally, we'll get into the interior, starting off with the rear seats and finally ending up with the front seats. But you're going to want to make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head and we're going to see what it's like to drive the new Lyriq. And this truly is the first one that I've ever driven, so we'll both kind of have a first-person first drive with the Lyriq. Now we do have the Sport 1 trim level, meaning we have the kind of sporty appearance for the Lyriq. Now there are two trim levels within the Sport. There's 1, 2, and 3, obviously depending on equipment. So we have the Sport 1, which is a kind of lower end model, but definitely still lots and lots of cool equipment to check out on this Lyriq. Very, very cool vehicle. Now, as far as lighting goes, we have a thin strip up top, which is used for your turn signals. And if we take a look down below, we have our main lighting unit. You have lots and lots of LEDs stacked up. And you also have another LED on the side for your daytime running lights. Now, the lights look pretty cool when you unlock the car. So take a look at the animation. I took this video on my phone, so I'm just going to insert it here. So yeah, very, very cool animation when you unlock the vehicle. And then take a look at the lighting with all the headlights and things on too. So it looks very nice, all LED units, and just a very cool lighting elements for this vehicle. We have parking sensors surrounding the front bumper, even off to the side, and our grille even lights up too. So very, very neat feature with lighting on this vehicle. And one more thing that lights up, the Cadillac emblem. Take a look at that. It looks a little bit different than the other Cadillac emblems, and that is because it lights up. We also have a camera below for one of the 4 cameras around this vehicle for the 360 degrees view. Now on the Sport trims, we have this kind of darkly tinted chrome accents as opposed to a normal brighter chrome. You could see that up on the top of the grille, down on the bottom, and surrounding your headlights. So pretty cool trim. I have these pretty cool fenders that go on top of the vehicle too, and the hood is nice and small, kind of slopes down into the grille. So pretty cool styling element there. And on the Sport 1 trim, we have these beautiful 20-inch wheels. We have kind of the machine face on the face of the wheel and kind of painted gray pockets. And the tires measure 265/50 all the way around. We have the charging door on the driver's side. You just tap the little Cadillac emblem and it'll drop down for you. It is illuminated, and we have a little cap for the fast charging down there. We will get into a little bit more charging once we pop the hood, and that is coming up in just a minute. More of that dark chrome trim adorns the surrounding of the windows. And we also have another camera on the side of the mirror, again, to get that top-down view. We have blind spot warning as well as LED turn signal indicators on the mirrors as well. As you can see, our door handles are popped out and we have a little light strip there. When they're flush to the vehicle, that means it's locked, but when you walk up to it, you can kind of just press your, just like so, you could just press your thumb right here and the car will unlock for you. So pretty cool solution to the door handles. Now we'll take a look at the trim, or I'm sorry, the window sticker. We can see this one stickers for $67,690. And really the only option we have on this particular vehicle is all-wheel drive. Now back here is where the styling starts to get pretty crazy. Take a look at that dark chrome trim that leads into the partial of the tail lamps. That whole unit right here and going all the way across is the part of the tail lamp. So very, very cool lighting in this vehicle. And to finish it off at the bottom, we have more of the tail lamp. So take a look at the top, all illuminated. So that is pretty neat. And then we'll take a look at the bottom. Again, just a very, very cool vehicle as far as the lighting goes. Parking sensors back here as well. And you can also tap the illuminated Cadillac emblem back here too to open the trunk. And we also have the reversing camera. Pretty neatly styled third brake light too up there. Kind of looks like an F1 style rear light. Pretty simple badging here too. The Lyriq on the driver's side and the 600E4 as our powertrain badging. The 600 just stands for the amount of Newton meter torque, a E for electric, and 4 for four-wheel drive. What do we think of the styling on the Lyriq? I personally think it definitely grabs your eyes. Let us know in the comments. So, popping the hood on the Lyriq, we can discuss some drivetrain options because there are two different ones. Now, it is worth noting that there is not any storage underneath the hood of the Lyriq. Kind of underneath that panel there that you see is just kind of all your drive gear. Now, we have two different drivetrain configurations. One is rear-wheel drive, the other is all-wheel drive. Now, with rear-wheel drive, you'll get about 340 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque, and that's good for just about 314 miles of electric driving range. And then we have the all-wheel drive, which has 500 horsepower, 450 pound-feet of torque, and is good for 308 miles of range. So we really don't lose a whole lot of mileage range, even though we add one extra electric motor to the front axle with the all-wheel drive. Now, included with the purchase of a Lyriq is a 120 and 240 volt charger, so it kind of does both. And if you're charging on the 240 volt charger that Cadillac gives you, you'll see about 21 miles per hour of charging. So, not too bad. There are a couple of different components under here, such as the windshield washer, AC hookups, and electrical connections and things like that. But under the hood, it's pretty plain. So, we have a full powered liftgate, which is very nice. As you can see, once it's open, you have a very nice wide opening to put any kind of cargo you need. And although this is a kind of fastback appearance to the vehicle, you really don't lose out on a whole lot of storage. So back here, we have all of our LED lighting. And a nice flat load floor when you open it up. We have some storage underneath, which is nice and deep. And you can also fold down the rear seats in a 60-40 fashion. And then we also have cargo tie downs in each corner with a 12 volt power outlet. If you look up towards the top, we have the button to close the trunk. And it'll close down nice and easy. All right, so checking out the rear interior of the Lyriq, we have some very nice materials back here. So you have a leather material up here and all the way down here on your armrest, and the rest of the door is also a soft to the touch plastic. We have some nice contrasting white stitching, and our door handle is pretty neat. It's this kind of silver lever right here, which you pull and that'll get you out. We also have our window control and a lock-unlock control too. So on the Sport 1, we will get a 7-speaker audio system. However, the 2 and 3 Sport trims, that is, will have a 19-speaker AKG audio system. Pretty nice seats in this car. Take a look at the headrests. They are pretty cool. Kind of short headrests, but they definitely cradle your head a little bit with some white stitching. You also get some more white stitching on the outside of the seats and that Santorini blue piping on the seats too. So you can even fold down the rear seats by pressing that little lever right there. And as you can see, it folds down flush with the cargo space. And you can even fold down a little armrest here with some cup holders. And we'll hop into the rear seat and see how much room we have back here. Now, I am 5'10", and take a look at the space I have. Quite a few bit of inches, I'd say at least 5 or 6 inches. And we get a really nice view of the front seat back here. Now, completely flat floor back here, so if you had to set a third person back here, that'll be no issue. You have a little bit of storage up here with a couple of vents, and you also have a little Cadillac script underneath with 2 USB-C chargers. Okay, so the driver's door, pretty much same materials as out back, but we have a few more buttons. You can see all of the seat controls are on the door. We have heated seats up here in which you can individually control the bottom and the backrest, separate from just the backrest. You also have 2-person memory with the easy exit mode and all of your seating controls with the lumbar, which is 4-way. Down here we have our lock unlock, as well as our power folding mirror controls and the rest of your window switches, and that pretty cool door handle. We have a nice little Cadillac script on the top of this trim piece here, and you also have a trunk release with a little bit of storage and a bottle holder. And we have this pretty cool insignia right here with the classic Cadillac ducks, which is pretty cool. We have a kind of hidden air vent, your electronic parking brake, your lane keep assist, you can turn that on and off, as well as your auto hold, you can turn that on and off, and a physical gauge dimmer. Now to the side of the steering wheel, you can see this little toggle for the tilt and telescoping. And down here is your hood release and your pedals. Pretty cool side sill here with a little insignia of the Lyriq on the side. And very, very comfortable seats. Again with nice cradling headrest, white stitching, perforations in the leather, and the Santorini blue piping. So here's the key for the Lyriq. It's a pretty traditional Cadillac key for a pretty untraditional Cadillac, I could say that. But we do have the lock, unlock, remote start, so you can get the AC or heat going, the trunk release, and a panic alarm, and you also have this little button on the side to slide out a physical key. And your start button is right behind the steering wheel here, and it will kind of start up for you. Now it's a pretty hot day, so excuse the air conditioning noises, but focusing on the steering wheel, we have a nice thick rim to the steering wheel too, so you have a pretty good grip on it. To this side, you have the regen braking paddle, which is pretty cool, and just a really nice style to the steering wheel. We kind of have this trapezoidal design up top and the triangular down below, so that is a pretty nicely designed steering wheel, if you ask me. Over here we have our adaptive cruise control settings, and we also have the heated steering wheel button, which I don't think we need today. And then you also have this button over here to change your radio stations up and down for the audio volume. Then we can also skip to a kind of change the source menu right there. We have our Bluetooth telephone controls and skipping between different tracks for the audio, as well as a voice commands button. A couple of stalks behind the steering wheel. Now this one is for your turn signals as well as the wipers, and the other one is actually your gear selectors. So to put it into neutral, you just pull forward like so. To put it into drive, you pull forward and down, and to put it into reverse, you pull forward and up, at which moment the rear view camera shows up. You can also toggle it to a rear overhead view and a rear kind of side view for your rear wheels. We can also toggle it to the front camera, front overhead and the front wheels, and we can also get kind of a 360 view, which is pretty cool, of the Lyriq. So it kind of spins around so you can see everything around, and gives you a 3D view. Now in case you were towing with the Lyriq, you have a trailer hitch view, and there's also a couple of settings for the camera system. But to put it back into park, you just press the little toggle at the end of the switch. And that brings me up to the gauge cluster. Now there is a couple of different gauge cluster views. Actually, let's head on to this screen to the side first. So we have the gauge screen right over here, which is kind of your standard setup. If we move on to energy, it'll switch it up just a little bit. Map will bring up your Google Maps. assistance screen, which will kind of show you the lane keeping assist and all that good stuff, and then a clean screen, so pretty cool there. Bunch of different gauge clusters. Switching over, we can have your trip information, and also just kind of a clean blank screen, and then you can also access your headlights. So, moving our focus back to the main screen here, we can kind of see the charge status, or kind of how many kilowatts you're using at the moment, or saving if you're on the regenerative braking. We have the large digital speedometer and our percentage of the battery, and a mileage till kind of an empty battery. Over here you'll see the audio screen too when it's actually activated. Now the upper dash is nicely styled. We kind of have this big chrome strip that goes all the way around and leads into the kind of trim. And here we have the kind of main infotainment screen. Now this is a one sort of continuous screen from all the way over here to the main infotainment screen, which is pretty cool. So over here we have our Google Maps, and then we can also get a combination of like the phone screen and things. So we'll just pull up the audio here, and we'll quickly skip to Sirius XM so we can see what it looks like. And that's kind of what it looks like when you're playing a song. And we can also go to the audio settings right here. We always have these presets down below, so we have the home, audio, navigation, phone, some settings, and charging, so that's pretty cool. We have the Google Maps, which is a subscription service, phone, Google Assistant, the Google Play Store, and then you also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and those are the apps for that there. We can also quickly bring up the cameras and our climate screen, so that's pretty cool, that you can adjust everything through the screen, as well as the physical climate controls down below. We also have a couple of settings for the climate too. We have our auto parking assist, so this car will park itself. We have a bunch of settings that we can go through here too. Wi-Fi hotspot, the vehicle status, so when you need to bring it in for service and things like that. Your tire pressures, energy info. We also have a pretty nice charging screen here too, so we can have a screen here that says charge now, and if you want to charge it to 80%, you know, whatever, it'll kind of give you a estimated range for that amount of charge, and it'll give you when it will be ready by. We also have a charging schedule which you could set up, which is pretty cool, and a charge later screen, so that is pretty neat. Lots of different options for the charging. Also lots of different ambient lighting colors, so quite a few different colors they give you. You've got the color wheel right there, and you could choose a couple at the same time. We have some different controls here, which will control various aspects of the vehicle. So we have the child locks, we can turn those on and off. We can release the glove box from here, and also turn on your interior lighting, power window lockout, turn on and off your automatic high beams, and your park assist. So that's pretty cool. While we're in this screen, I guess we can release the glove box so you can see how big it is. It does go in nice and deep, and it's all lined in suede, so pretty nice. We have our different themes here, which you could purchase from Cadillac in the Play Store. And we also have our different driving modes. So we have 4 main modes: Touring, Sport, Snow and Ice, and My Mode, which you can configure. So you can configure all of these kind of different feels, the motor sound, things like that, steering setup. So that is pretty neat. We have the My Cadillac app and a couple of different Google apps that come on here too. Now taking a look down below the screen, we have a kind of hidden air vent right here, which you can adjust with this, and all of your climate controls. So we have the on-off automatic, and then where you want the air to blow, in addition to your defrosters right here. We have AC or heat, which is a pretty interesting button. You don't usually just see a button that says heat, but anyways, you have your 2 temperatures that for the 2-zone climate control, and your fan speed right in the center. Pretty cool hidden storage that kind of pops out like so in a drawer style. And down below we have a similar Cadillac emblem to what we saw out back with a USB-C. And take a look at all of the storage space in between the 2 seats. That is pretty cool. We kind of have this floating center console too with some cool trim and some gloss black. We have the audio volume right here, and a kind of touchpad, which is a secondary control for the infotainment screen, with a couple of shortcuts, namely your audio, phone, navigation, and a home and back button. So that's pretty neat. Very nice trimming too all around this vehicle. Take a look at that kind of knurling on the cup holders. That's pretty neat. We have another USB-C connection right here and your wireless charging pad, so you just kind of slide your phone in there. We have a nice center console, which is kind of magnetized when you close it. So it's actually a magnet instead of a latch. Taking a look in the center console, we have yet another USB-C and a 12-volt power outlet. Very nicely lined in suede. Nice big sleek air vent too, where you have two different controls for the passenger. Pretty cool looking air vent, or I should say grab handle up there. Completely black headliner for the Sport, and we have the mirror and light in the visors. And a pretty cool looking center stack, so it's kind of all surrounded in gloss black. We have your tap illumination, our OnStar SOS controls, and your hazards, which is a pretty neat spot for them. And we also have this button here to slide back our panoramic sunroof, which is fixed in place. You can optionally get a sunroof that opens, but this particular one is fixed in place. Now, I will tell you that one of my pet peeves is a sunroof that doesn't have a shade, and lots of newer vehicles are starting to come out with a fixed sunroof like this, but without the option to close a shade. So I give Cadillac credit for giving us a shade to block out the light. Up here we have a nice frameless auto dimming mirror too. But that pretty much does it for all of the features and style on the Cadillac Lyriq. That's enough with that. Let's get it out on the road and see how it drives. I'm pretty curious myself. Okay, so here we are driving the 2024 Cadillac Lyriq. Now, this is truthfully the first time I have ever driven a Lyriq, so it'll be a kind of a first impressions for the both of us. Now, little tour of the test drive. We're going to take it through this neighborhood, which has lots of hills and everything. It's also a little bit bumpy, so we'll get a minor suspension test. We'll also come up on a nice straight road towards the end of the video, and we'll get a acceleration test. What I like to do is get it from 25 up to 60 miles an hour, so that you get a good idea on the acceleration of this car. 500 horsepower. I can't really say under the hood, but kind of under the hood and for the rear wheels too. So we should have some pretty decent acceleration figures for this car. And at the very end of the video, we're going to have a suspension torture test, and we're really going to see what this thing is like over some pretty nasty bumps. And we have a pretty sophisticated 5-link front and rear suspension setup, which should handle the bumps pretty well. So, pretty excited for this test drive, and we do of course have that one pedal drive. We'll see how easy it is to get used to, and definitely if you're not used to the one pedal drive, coming up to a stop sign is pretty strange because you're still on the gas pedal a little bit. Now right there, I did not take my foot off the gas pedal at all, and we came to a stop. So, pretty neat, and something to get used to with the one pedal drive, but it is pretty cool. So definitely a pretty quiet ride, I could tell you that, minus the HVAC going, which it is pretty hot today, so we're going to keep that on. It is very quiet. Also part of the test drive, we're gonna cut in and out because this test drive route was pretty long. I don't want the video to be too long, but we're gonna cut into a pretty main road where we can get the car up to 50-55 miles an hour, and we'll see the sound levels are up at that speed. First impressions though, the steering's got a pretty nice weight to it. You know, it is pretty, you know, it's definitely on the light side, but it's got a nice ratio to it. But yeah, so far definitely a very pleasurable car to drive. Nice quiet driving experience, and the one pedal drive is very nice. And once we're at a stoplight like we are now, the auto hold holds us very nicely in place, so you don't have to rest your foot on the brake. Also, this is a pretty tight turn, and the Cadillac does just fine. Now here we're gonna do the full throttle acceleration test. So we'll get around this bend here, we'll bring it down to 25, and then we will mash the throttle, and we'll see what it's like, see what 500 horsepower feels like from the Lyriq. So we'll get it down to 25 and we'll see what happens. Yeah, this thing is pretty quick, I have to say that. It does the typical electric car instant torque, and the car just does a dive towards the sky and just takes off. So 500 horsepower feels pretty good in this car. I didn't put it in sport mode or anything, but you definitely have that option if you'd like. I can't imagine that it changes a whole lot in this particular car, but I suppose we could try it again. Let's see here, let's put it into sport. Changes around our gauges a little bit, and we do have nobody behind us, so let's get it down to, let's say 30 this time, and we'll mash the throttle, see if it makes any difference. Wow, it definitely does make a little bit of a difference there. The throttle input is definitely a bit more sharp. You definitely get a more instantaneous acceleration from the sport mode. That is pretty cool. I wasn't expecting such a difference. Yeah, and just kind of cruising around at 50, 55 miles an hour. This is a supremely comfortable car, and honestly, the sound levels from the outside, naming, wind noise, tire noise, they sound exactly the same as they were at 25, 30 miles an hour. So that's pretty impressive. And I've definitely done a nice job with the sound insulation on the Lyriq. Okay, so we're gonna make a right onto this back road here, and this will be the final portion of the video. This is going to be the suspension torture test, and we're really gonna find out how this car rides, and just lots of potholes, lots of imperfections in this road, and we're gonna leave it in touring mode just to see how it handles everything. I'm gonna try to hit every pothole and thing that I can. Lots of smoke in the road for some reason here, and oh, looks like somebody did a nice burnout. Very nice. But yeah, back to the ride of the car. Very, very comfortable. Even over kind of the worst road that I know around here. It's pretty comfortable, I have to say that. Very, very nice suspension setup with that 5-link front and rear suspension setup. So yeah, that pretty much does it for the features and test drive on the 2024 Cadillac Lyriq. Definitely a very, very cool vehicle and a compelling choice in the electric SUV market. I think it's got great looks and very nice driving dynamics too. So that's all I have for now, and I hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one in the future.